Hey guys, Tam Wrigley here from Profile Magazine. Here is another edition of Fearless Feminine Founders with today's guest being the amazing Lola Berry. You have got such a big bio. I have to read off it. It's just, you know, when it comes to getting your world about health and food, there's nothing that you don't know, Lola. And you've written 11 books about health, wellness, yoga in your portfolio.
I wish it was 11. It's 10. It's 10. I was like, I'll let that one slide. And I thought someone's going to get angry and say, she's done 10.
11, I'm missing one. Where is but besides that, you have a Bachelor of Health Science. So yes. You're backing up basically what you're putting out there, which is great. So Lola, tell us how it all started for you. Take us back to the beginning about your upbringing and how you got to where you are today.
Upbringing wise, my parents have both always been super health conscious. My mum is a theatre nurse, so she's always just cared about health. Like when I went to school, she'd make me like spirulina protein balls, like when spirulina wasn't even a thing. And when she was my age now, she modeled. So she's always kind of had this, she's always had an understanding of her body, and she's kind of always really honored her body. And I think that raising us kids with that kind of value system paid off for me as far as like that being something I was really interested in. And my dad's a vet. So we've kind of all been really into wellness in some way or another. Sure, dad's is for animals, but it still filters through. It's still like the same rule book pretty much. But I was really inspired by Steve Irwin. So I bought a video camera and I saved up. I got 3 jobs and I filmed this little YouTube series, and I did that in my final year of uni before I started on morning television. So that was kind of like how I started to kind of, I guess, cut my teeth in the like medium of media.
Yeah, because I mean, that's a big prominent thing now is, you know, social media, but also this very like on-demand online platforms. And you've sort of broken the mold there, as you said, you know, starting out, getting your own camera. And I think a lot of people now have to think about that in their own business. So walk us through, like, what was your thought process when you went, oh, like, I'm going to start a YouTube channel?
Well, I was super young. So I was like 21. So I'm 34 now. So back then there was no Insta, there was no Twitter, there was no Facebook. It was MySpace days. Do you remember MySpace? So YouTube was kind of seen as a weird, not weird, but it's like, what's this girl doing, you know, doing this. I did these little webisodes or little short episodes. And so that's how I actually got on TV, because we cold called and we were like, do you want this young like girl using the internet to spread a positive message? But you couldn't shoot anything on your cameras. It was like the Nokia, you know, 5110 days. So you would you'd have to buy proper equipment or hire a film crew, which was exorbitant. So I had to walk into the bank and lie and say I was getting a loan for textbooks, and used it on video guys and video equipment.
Yeah. I know that's it, isn't it? Can you imagine filming on your Nokia? It would be very pixelated compared to what our iPhone 11s look like today.
Totally. I didn't even think it had a camera.
So tell us a little bit then. So you're in school, you're on the floor, and the teacher says, what do you want to be when you grow up? Was this always what you wanted to do? Was this your purpose and your passion?
I was always super inspired by Steve Irwin. So I would watch as a kid every Sunday night Steve Irwin and have his show on, I don't know what channel it was on. And so I always wanted to kind of like be Steve Irwin in the kind of like health scene. And people were like, what are you going to do? Wrestle broccoli? And I'm like, no, I want to get a camera and I want to, he's just got this amazing, I just posted a thing on Instagram about it recently. He's just got this such authenticity that's like to another level. Like you can tell that he's like totally marching to the beat of his own drum. He's passionate. He really doesn't care what people think of him, and he's got no filter as a result of that, which has got him in trouble as well. But I think that that's where his power is, like. And so I was always inspired by his like very raw, honest, and I like the way he kind of like unapologetically goes for his passion. I really value that.
Mm-hmm. So tell us a bit about how did you get your business? Was it a tough time when you were starting out in this industry? I mean, because we see a lot, it seems to be a saturated market, I guess, of, you know, nutritionists and yoga and well-being. How do you stand out from all the others that are out there?
I mean, it's totally saturated now. It wasn't when I started. When I started, it was like Pete Evans, Sarah Wilson, and then I started, and then I think Jess Seppel started like a year or so after me. Like, it was pretty small. And I mean, now it's like so many people, and like people that used to write to me and go, I don't know what to do about this book deal, are now massive authors. So I think it's humongous now. And so the market is saturated as a result, but it's great because health is obviously becoming its own kind of currency. It's really popular. But as a result, I've had to really kind of just like bend and flex with the industry and being like, oh, okay, like there are new health authors out. It's good for me to take a little break from writing at the moment so that when I come out, something else has changed. So I've been focusing on podcasting. So I think you've just got to work really hard, but with no expectation, which sounds really weird, but that's kind of been my kind of like magic ingredient at the moment.
How do you keep though in the forefront of Australia or the world's mind, considering that it is, a big market, but you have to stay relevant. You have to, it's almost like that Madonna of like reinventing yourself every few years so that you stay.
I love the Madonna.
So that you stay in the forefront of everyone's mind. So how do you maintain your presence in the market?
It's funny you say that because I've never thought of myself as having a bigger presence or lesser presence, or I'm just doing my thing. Social media is one form of what I do. But like, I'll always go for auditions. If something comes up and it's the right fit, I'll always kind of like put myself out there, but I'm never really attached to how it needs to look. So I'm not like, I need to stay relevant, I need to stay current. That's never my thought process. My thought process is more like, what do I love at the moment? I'm really loving podcasting, so I'm going to dive into that. And like the amount of people that write to me and like, when's your next book? And I'm like, I'm not writing at the moment. I'm really comfortable saying that. I'm just so not attached to, and it sounds really hippie and quite spiritual, but like, I just think you've got to be super flexible. Otherwise, you're probably setting yourself up for a fall, because the reality is it changes all the time. Instagram algorithms, the growth, like I was losing followers for ages, and I quickly had to be like, well, you cannot define yourself by the number that's following you. And at the moment that you do that, it starts growing. So it's like, great. So you've just got to drop all expectation.
I know. And some people, they really do focus on that. Oh, I gained 10 followers, but I lost 15, and that seems to be their focus about Instagram and Facebook and all that, like coming into this new era. What are some tips and advice, I guess, you could give the viewers about putting their business out there on social and how to keep their audience engaged?
I think you just got to be real. Like, I think gone are the days of putting up polished, curated content. I think it's like, hey guys, like say you had, I don't know, a florist, yeah, and you wanted to promote, I'm seeing these beautiful flowers behind you. You want to promote what you've got that week. I'd be doing one live Insta, one live Facebook every week, and I'd be like, this is what we've got, meet our team, like share a community, build a community, and like for your engaged audience, you could be like, if anyone that mentions this or you're going to get a free XYZ. So you can like reward the community for participating and being part of your community. But I don't think there's any like hard and fast rules about any of it. I don't even think about it. Like literally the other day, I was just unpacking some boxes and I found a full box of my first ever book called Inspiring Ingredients. And I was like, I just went on Instagram and goes, guys, I want to give 10 copies away, like double copies to you and your mate. Tag your mate in here and I'll send them out. And that's how you know what I mean? I don't really think too much about it. I just kind of like, it's very, very organic for me. And that is the way I like it to be.
Yeah. What have been some of the highlights of your career or, starting your business to date?
Obviously like having a smoothie bar was really cool. We did that for 3 years, launching the coffee company this year. So Lola Coffee is like this specialty grade coffee made instant. And then we have medicinal lion's mane to it. So it's like a brain tonic. That's been so much fun to create an idea and kind of birth that idea and send it out to the marketplace. And that sold out in 48 hours. So it just seeing the power of like a really good product with integrity and then an audience that is willing to back you, which is really inspiring to be part of. And then the podcast has completely blown me away, not just by, like the experience of doing it, but like the guests are so open, like people are really open, and it really kind of blew me away.
Mm. If you hit the nail on the head there. This year seems to have been the year that a lot of influencers and a lot of celebrities are using their platforms to open and have that conversation about open and honesty, instead of seeing this image, you know, of the perfect person on social, but behind closed doors they're a totally different person. Is that like, walk us through your podcast and what you love to talk about on that?
Yeah, so it's called Fearlessly Failing. So I interview people, a lot of really successful people, about their failures or their muck-ups or their lessons or the moments where they thought that everything was flying high and then they came crashing down. So I had Megan Gale on recently, and she talked about how she had like this really long hiatus of not much work, and she's from Perth, and she would have to fly back from Sydney to Perth, and she'd run out of money. She'd go to all these auditions in Sydney, run out of money, not get booked, go home, keep like doing that. And I think it was something, I want to say it was something like a 5-year process for her of like just like really just not giving up. And it wasn't until she booked a massive campaign, an Italian campaign, that she kind of made it big. And she was considered old for a model at that age. So I think it's really fascinating when people open up, like Jess Seppel talked about her vitamin company and the first batch, like having not the right kind of, you know, person working with her. And it's really empowering to speak to these people that you kind of look up to, and you're like, oh my God, you've got this all together. And for them to go, well, hang on, yeah, maybe I do now, but I had to go through X, Y, and Z, learn these lessons to get to this successful point. And I just think, to me, it's really inspiring to hear people go, you can achieve your dreams and it's not going to be easy, and that's okay. So I love it. I love it. I think I get more out of it than the audience, because I'm like, oh.
So if we were to interview Lola Berry on your podcast, tell us what have been some of your challenges, and was there a moment that where in the course of your career that you just thought, oh, this is all too hard and I want to give up?
Oh, cool question. I've never wanted to give up, but there've been so many failures, like so many. I've shot about 15 pilots and not one of them have been greenlit. Feedback is usually, she's not strong enough to host her own show. And I love filming, like TV and film, and the energy on set fills me up. I just love it so much. And that I'd be doing that full time if I could, but I just don't get booked. And so that's hard when you get told, you know, you're not the right look, or, you know, it can be a bit deflating, but I've got this feeling innately within me. I'm like, just keep sticking with it. One day, one producer, one director is going to be like, she can do it. So my motto has always been in my career, one person just needs to give me a chance. And that's how I started morning TV. One producer just randomly was like, yeah, let's put her on for a segment. And to this day, and I was 22 at the time, and to this day, I thank her in every single book, because she was the first one to really take a chance on me. But like at the moment that we decided to sell the smoothie bar, that was hard for me because I was emotionally attached to it. And I was like, I don't want to sell it. Only my ego said that. Like, it was a really good opportunity. The sale price was great. It suited all of the partners. And it was just my ego that was like, oh, I want to hold on to this baby for a little bit longer. When in actual fact, it was my first business that we built from the ground up and sold it for a profit. Like, it's how you do business, but I'd never had to let go of the little dream before. And so it was the best lesson in business, money, hospitality, which I don't love, and learning what I do and don't love, and managing personalities and recipe creation constantly. It's not like a book where you create like 50 recipes and then deliver it to your publisher. It's like you're constantly creating weekly specials, and you're trying to create recipes to keep the community, you know, involved and part of it. So yeah, there've been some really hard times, even with the coffee. Like, we got a sample of the coffee back and it wasn't right, and like we'd spent all this money on a batch and it went wrong. Like, the integrity of the coffee was lost, and we lost a lot of money and a lot of coffee, and we had to restart from scratch. But that was exciting to me because it meant that I was learning that I would never compromise on integrity of products. So it was all, if I look back at them, I'm like, these are all actually such massive gifts.
they're not, I don't see, and I think you touch on it a lot too, is like you don't see them as failures, you see it as a learning, like, oh, what did I learn from this, and what did
Yeah.
I. So tell me a little bit about who champions you, who keeps you going.
Yeah, good question. Whew. Okay, well, obviously from like an outside perspective, if I ever have a shit day, I'll watch Steve Irwin stuff, seriously. I used to have this thing, anytime I go on TV, I'd watch an episode of Steve Irwin, Pirates of the Caribbean, because I like the quirkiness of Jack Sparrow,
Love him.
and then Jamie Oliver, because obviously it's a similar skill set to talk to camera and make food. So that was my, like, the holy trinity. I'd always watch if I had a big audition or filming thing come up. Now I do less of that, and I'm just more like, just be yourself, Lola. You don't want to be like Jamie Oliver. You don't want to be like Steve Irwin. You don't want to be like Jack Sparrow. You just, what I admire in them is their unique kind of personality traits. But as far as my, like, the people that hero me, my dad has been such a huge support the whole way through, and through auditions, through, like, I had a big audition yesterday, and Dad was like, how did you go? Because it was actually an acting audition, and the role I played was really heavy. The character was not. I just cheated in the scene. I just cheated on my husband, and we were laundering Mexican cartel money. Now, these are things I haven't had experience with in my life. Like, cheating, I've not done either. And so I was like, shit, I've got to kind of tap into something I don't have any. But it was really nice because my dad was like, you've got this, don't worry. And then my boyfriend is a huge support as well. Matt, shout out to Bosso, Matt. And he's always like, I think every day, like every night, he'll be like, I'm so proud of you. So it's pretty amazing to, like, fall asleep each night hearing that. And then, my best mate, Andrea, and then I've got a therapist. So my therapist is my game changer. I see him once a week, and it's not because I've got shit to sort out necessarily. It's because he believes that we should be bulletproof. And he's like, I just want to get you bulletproof. So seeing a therapist is like my weekly investment into my mental health, which translates to my overall health.
Yeah, spot on. I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think, and they're really great, like, sounding boards too. If you're having those doubts or those fears or those, whatever it is that's going on in your world, sometimes it's good just going and talking to a third party rather than the boyfriend or the
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And they call you out on your shit. My boyfriend doesn't call me out on my shit. He's too sweet. But my therapist will be like, what are you doing?
Submission. Tell me some of the, like, 3 keys that has made your business successful. What are your 3 keys to success?
Totally. So be real, 100%, because humans ultimately want to connect. When you meet a dingo, which is my word for a not nice person, when you meet a dingo, you're just like, oh, I don't really want to be around them. They feel really takey and they're kind of zapping my energy. So be real, like, be honest, real, hold the space with people. And people can feel that straight away. Be kind. I think it's stupid that people think that in order to be successful, you've got to, like, step on people on the way up. And there are plenty of those people out there, especially in, like, the media world. It's very cutthroat, and you feel very, very replaceable some days. But yeah, I think just being kind, because people always remember how you make them feel, and then work hard. Like, none of this comes easy for anyone, not me or you, or, like, I think, I say to people, it's not about just writing your manifesto on a piece of paper and pop it under your pillow. Like, you've got to be willing to do the work and to kind of step up to the plate. And that means, like, almost like having a single-minded focus. If you've got a dream, you've just kind of got to click in and be like, it doesn't matter that nobody else can see this dream except for me. That's okay. Like, as long as I can see it, yeah, we're halfway there.
Yeah. People that do have that dream of wanting to start their own business, what would be some advice you could give them about, I guess, right at the beginning, the startup process to get their business going?
Well, it's going to be really hard. Yeah. So you need to know that. And I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying absolutely do it, but go in super aware and ready. And then I would get a therapist, because that's the key. Honestly, that's how I got really good at selling Happy Place, the smoothie bar. That's how I was so good at, like, walking into meetings, letting go of contracts, saying no, ending long, massive, many-year contracts, and walking out and cutting ties in a really positive way. And it just, having a therapist doesn't mean you're broken or anything like that. It just means that you can be a clearer version of yourself. So if that can translate into your business, where you might be looking after staff, you might be, you know, you might be in you might be in partnership with people that you're friends with. So you want to have respect there, but also keep it professional. Like, it's having that kind of person that understands mental health. Like, the brain, the only thing that can get you to where you want to be is this, or you, and then the only thing that can stop you is you. So why not work on you so that you can be the best boss, the best, like, and if people say to me like, well, having a therapist is really expensive, absolutely, it's definitely an investment. Even some weeks I'm like, shit, like, it's a lot of money, you know, you're spending a lot. But it's like, if that means I'm a clearer, healthier, more on point version of myself, I can't, like, say no to that. I have to, I have to honor my health, because ultimately when your mental health and your mind is clear, you're going to be better at business. You're going to be better at love. You're going to be better at, you know, giving yourself. You're going to be better at anything you want to do, facing fear, you know, like, I think you've got to make mental health a priority for success.
Yeah. You mentioned fear there, which I love, because I think a lot of people hold back because of fear, you know, that fear of failure, that fear of the unknown, the fear of money. What could be some advice to people that you could let that go?
I think, and I work on this a lot with my therapist, and on the back of my coffee, the Lola coffee box, it says stay fearless. And my therapist taught me this Indigenous Australian word, and it's numberlayer, and it means to live free of fear. So you do need to, if you want to really, like, live a dream, I think it really means facing fear. Like, we've all got them, 100% all got them, whether it be as little and as nothing as, like, you know, getting a blood test, you know, or as massive as getting on a plane or throwing 50 grand into a startup, whatever it is, that we've all got fears. Or if you've got fear of being unloved, all this stuff, like, everyone's got baggage. I think the trick to fear is being okay with it and being willing to let it go. Because the other side of fear, of course, is freedom. And I think you need to have a sense of freedom to go after your passion. So it's okay to acknowledge if you're feeling the feelings of fear, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you are fearful. Do you know?
Perfect. What keeps your soul alive?
What keeps my soul alive? Shivers. That's a good one. I mean, for me, it's probably passion and being around people that are passionate. Like, I love people that are living their dream, even if it's got nothing to do with mine. Like, I caught up with a different business mentor last week, and he's a coffee guy. And I was just like, we weren't even talking about our own businesses, but the energy of being with someone that's a high achiever and a go-getter fills you up for so long. And so I think for me, it's like the spark that's inside someone that's living their passion that keeps me totally alive.
Yeah. Where are you right now, Lola, in terms of your business, and where do you see it going in the future?
Yeah, so great questions. So where I am right now is I've literally just relaunched Lola Coffee, so about a week and a half ago. So we really want to give that a big nudge and see how big we can get it. I'd love to see it global. So I'd really love to get it outside an Australian market. The podcast is blowing me away at how much I've fallen in love with it. So I also want to, you would know that it becomes very much a full-time job.
Yep.
When you're doing something like this. So I really want to take it from being like a side hustle hobby to a bit more, take it very much more seriously in 2020. So for me, podcast and coffee are kind of like my two big just kind of like exciting business things at the moment. But then also I'm doing 3 days a week of acting school just because it's my passion as far as fills my cup up creativity from a creative, I'm not getting the word create. Do you know what I mean? It's filling me up from a creative perspective, but it's that kind of like feeling of being scared. Shit, I've got to get up there and play a woman that's willing to murder people to get what she needs to get. Do you know what I mean? Like, so the acting has blown me away about how much I fall in love with it, how that's going to look in the future, what my attachment is to that. Like, I'm having no expectations. All I know is that I haven't felt this excited about something in a long time, and I'm going to follow that feeling.
Yeah, great. What does feminine power mean to you? Or feminine leadership mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, it just means that you're free to live your purpose to me. Like, it's, you're just doing your thing. It's so funny when I read the topic of this and I was just like, oh, I think when you're just living true, you're naturally doing that. Like, you're naturally in that state. Don't you reckon?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. 100%. Tell me a little bit about, do you believe that everyone can have it all? And if so, what does having it all mean to you?
Yeah, when I was younger, I didn't think that. I absolutely didn't. I would have sworn black and blue. You cannot have a massively successful career and a great romantic life and a family and all these things. I never thought you could have it all. And as a result, I was very closed to relationships and things because I was so solely focused on my career. But like, I met my boyfriend almost a year and a half ago, and he's also a creative, and he's taught me like that you can have it all and that you can have epic love, but also be working towards your career goals. And even when you find the right match, he's like, oh, it makes me happy when you're chasing your dreams. Like, that inspires me, and I'm with the best version of Lola. So I think you can definitely have it all. I think you're the master of your own destiny. So there's no set rule book. Like, I'm 34 now, and there's been a little bit of pressure about kids, not from my family, but like, I've just, you walk into a meeting or something, people are like, are you going to have kids, And I always say I've always expected to be a geriatric mum. Like, I've always known that I really want to give my career a big nudge before I focus on kids. And also, I don't care what people think. I don't care if people think I'm an older mom or that when I decide to have kids or if I decide to have kids. But yeah, I think you're the master. You get to decide, nobody else.
I love that, because that's like one of my biggest mantras, is that you're the creator of your own destiny. You know, the one, you can't expect everybody else to get you where you want to go in life. It's got to come from you. So I love that resonated so well with me. Tell me, what's a day like in the life of Lola Berry? Like, you run a business and you work in the business and you write books and you podcast and you're now acting. It's all like, how do you cram all that into a day or a week? What does it look like what does a day look like for you?
It changes. So today consisted of me. I knew I had this, and I knew I had a deadline on 3 different content. So I had to get deadline off for, I write a massive thing called like show notes for each podcast. So we've got a special edition podcast coming out tomorrow. So I wrote the show notes for that this morning. I also had to rewrite a bio. So it was just this morning, it was like, quick. I was also catching up with a mate at 7:30 this morning. So we had a coffee and a fruit mince pie because it's Christmas time. Not healthy at all, but that's okay. And then straight after you, I'm seeing my nan for Christmas. So like, this is obviously the season, like it's a week out from Christmas, but you like a usual, say if it was like a regular kind of more consistent day would be like, I normally like will get up, get to early yoga. I like to move my body first thing. And then like I know on Tuesdays I have my therapist, I'll have an hour and a half therapy session. Then from that, I usually go to dialect coaching and acting. So they're back to back usually. And then with my podcast, my boyfriend's a music producer. So like later on this afternoon, I've got to record 3 ads for the podcast. So we'll go into the studio and record intros, record ads. And then, I'll just like, I'm a morning person. So come 5 o'clock, I'm like, give me food and send me to bed. Yeah. So yeah, but it changes all the time. Like, I mean, if I'm in Sydney, the whole pace completely changes. I'm just like cram as much in as humanly possible. And usually I podcast a lot when I'm in Sydney because there's certain talent there, that you can't get. So, and I love doing them in person. So yeah, it just depends where I am. But like, I'm a person that thrives off feeling productive. So if I've had a day where I haven't achieved much, I do get a little bit guilty about that.
You're speaking my language. I feel like we're like together. He's me, but blonde.
So good.
A team, like a team of people behind you, or is it just Lola?
Yeah, there's not much of a team actually, which normally people are shocked by. I absolutely have a manager, and then I've got a manager for the podcast. Obviously, my boyfriend produces the whole podcast, so like he's a massive team. Like he's the MVP, and we're in business with the coffee as well together. So that wouldn't, neither of them would exist without him. And then yeah, that's it. So I run all my own social media. All deals go through management though, because I'm too friendly.
Yeah.
I don't like talking money. Even this morning I got booked for a gig and I was like, do we need to talk about fees? And I was like, I'm not good at it.
If you could go back and start your business and your path all over again, would there be anything that you would change?
Gee, you're so good at the questions. Now you can see why I like not reading questions before an interview, because I love how organic it is. It's my rule. I probably wouldn't change anything as far as like business choices wise, but I would absolutely change. I've only had a therapist for 2 years. I would have got that earlier, because I'm in an industry where you do get picked apart. Like I've had horrible meetings where I've been told I'm like too fat, or I'm like, don't look put together enough, stuff like that, which is like pretty hard to hear when you're like 23. So probably like sorted out my mental health, and I have a history of eating disorders. So like sort out my mental health stuff at a younger age, as opposed to it's taken me to hit 30 to start really going, wow, like if I want to be the best that I can be in everything, like love, career, like I have to make that a priority. So probably that earlier on, and as a result, it would have meant that I didn't care what people think, because I've learned that through understanding, like when someone's mean to you, it's often a reflection of their own stuff. So I think, yeah, if I didn't care less, if I didn't I always swear, so if I didn't give so much of a shit, like at a younger age, that would have been great. And then probably got onto the mental health stuff sooner rather than later, as kind of like a powerful tool for business.
You mentioned just in that segment about your eating disorder. Do you want to just walk us through like how what prompted that, and the emotive and all of that, sort of go a bit deep with that?
Yeah, sure. I'm an open book. You can ask me whatever you want. So I just would always, so there are a few triggers. I just kind of like started in television, and people would, I remember one day I was doing a segment on like water and dehydration and how to be hydrated. And I remember, because I was so young, I was so quirky, I was like, I'm going to wear a yellow dress because it's all about like urinal health. And I'm like, oh my God, Lola. Anyway, I also worked at a market stall in Paran, and I'd always go straight from TV and like work at this like fruit and veggie shop. And I remember someone walked up to me straight after my segment when I'd started working and said, oh, I saw your segment this morning. And I was like, oh, thanks so much. What did you think? And they said to me, you should never wear yellow. It makes you look pudgy. And so I was kind of like always that nutritionist that I didn't feel confident calling myself a nutritionist. I felt more comfortable calling myself a foodie. Like I wasn't confident or comfortable within my body. And then I just did a trip. I did a trip to America and Hawaii, a work trip actually. And I just was inspired by the paleo kind of way of eating. And I lost a fair bit of weight naturally, like just from pulling grain and things that I was highly reactive to out of the diet. And I lost heaps of weight, like 20 kilos. And there was a stage where, and 20 kilos was like still really healthy to be at that lower range for me. I was just like at the opposite end of healthy. And even when I was bigger, I wasn't unhealthy. I was just at the opposite end again of healthy. They were like two different spectrums, but I kind of went down the rabbit hole of going too far. There was a stage where I was like 47 kilos. But great parents pulled me up so fast. Like mum's like, come on, we need to get on top of this. Like this is unhealthy now. And And through great support networks, I absolutely came through it. But obviously, like now understanding it through therapy, you know, I had a very low self-worth. I had a very low sense of self-love. Anytime I go through a breakup, it'd kind of be triggered again. And I'd be like, I'm not good enough. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not pretty enough. And then I'd just start restricting or binging, like depending on the flavor of that day. So I would do really extreme things like 10-day water fasts and then 2 days of hardcore kind of like binge eating on anything I can get my hands on. So, I mean, the feelings, like anyone that's had an eating disorder will know that like the mental kind of like chatter can rear its ugly head every now and then. Like I've got calorie aspergus. Like I can look at something and be like, egg, 74 calories. If you take the yolk out, it's 16 calories. Like I can still look at things and know that. But I'm just like, well, over the years, I've completely changed my mindset, and I'm like, food is here to nourish you and to share with people that you love. And so I'll always kind of like bring myself back to this. And then I think also like really letting go of this sense of judgment, like not caring what people think of me, but also not caring if I do want to be the health goober in a situation. Like I had an event recently and it was cocktails at like 10 a.m. in the morning. It was a work gig. And I was like, just in a situation where I didn't really know anyone. I was a bit nervous. So I had a few drinks and I got home and I was like, and I'm not a drinker. Like I drink maybe 4 times a year. And I got home and I was like, this is just not for me. Like I love the event, but I didn't need to drink. Like it just wasn't, it made me realize it's just not something that works for my body. And I said to my boyfriend, I'm like, oh, what are we going to do though? We've got a big New Year's Eve day thing planned. And he goes, I'm happy when you're actually really, really happy. So I don't care if you don't want to, you know, and it was really freeing to have that conversation.
Yeah. I know, 'cause I don't drink alcohol at all. So I often get that, like judgment of, oh, you don't drink alcohol. And it's like, you don't need to. I just, you know,
Nah.
I like that. Pete Evans, I think, said once that when women are pregnant, you know, you stop drinking alcohol because it affects the fetus. He said, why do we do it when we're not? Because it still affects our system. So,
well, it's like poison, right?
Yeah. So I want to talk to you quickly before we have to go, but I want to talk about you mentioned it a couple of times now, is the Lola coffee brand. How did that all come about?
Oh, this is a cute story. When I first started dating my boyfriend, he's Italian. And so he'd always make me the Italian coffee, which is where they use this thing called like a cafetiera, and it's stovetop coffee. And I'd always walk over to his house with my medicinal mushrooms, my lion's mane mushroom. And he was like, what is that? And I'd be adding it to the coffee. And he goes, what is that? It smells gross. And I was like, oh, well, it's like a brain tonic. And I'm like, have you seen the movie Limitless? And he's like, yeah, with Bradley Cooper. And I was like, it's kind of like the natural version of that. It's really good for cognitive function, memory. Heaps of studies are getting done on it with Alzheimer's, depression, and anxiety. And he was like, my boyfriend gets anxiety, and he was like, oh my God, throw some in my coffee. And he was instantly converted, loved it. And he goes, well, how do we create this? And then we met up with his friend Rob, who is an angel investor and like a guru, businessy kind of guru. And so the three of us went into business. We decided on, it was early in the new year that we'd do it, and then it properly launched in August. And yeah, so it came from like a little coffee date, and then the rest was history.
So it's not your average coffee. It's coffee. It's actually good. That's good for you. And so tell us a bit about it. Obviously there's an element of coffee in there, but what else? What does it actually do?
Yeah, so when we have instant coffee that we buy from Coles or Woolies, and it's like Nescafe, you know, one of those, and it doesn't taste phenomenal. The issue that we've got with that is when coffee is freeze dried, the extraction rate of something like that you get off a supermarket shelf that's reasonably cheap as well is about 60%. So they're taking heaps of the coffee away after they freeze dry it. We take less than 20%. So it's yielding way less coffee, but the integrity of the coffee, the antioxidant status of the coffee is all there. We've also chosen to use ethically sourced coffee beans as well, and it's specialty grade coffee. So that means it's got a specialty grade rating of at least 84%. It just means it's bloody clean coffee, basically. And then with the lion's mane, that's a medicinal mushroom, and it's wild crafted and foraged. So we can't even call it organic because it's literally just in the wilderness growing. And it's even the way it's harvested, like we've got all this documentation about where it comes from and how it's looked after. It's pretty wonderful and amazing. And so what we want to do is add this kind of like nootropic mushroom, this medicinal mushroom, with the specialty grade instant coffee that is not only delicious, but it's also clean. And the integrity of the brand is, I believe, totally there. But it's a very expensive process to make instant coffee in Australia. And so we're currently just like, how can we make it a little bit more feasible? Because to keep that integrity, you can't have take too much coffee, but to freeze dry it without we use no chemicals, no anti-caking agents, no anti-molding agents. Like, it's 100% just coffee. So yeah, it's been a big process, and learning how to make it like a really successful business has been super challenging, but also really exciting.
Do you make beans as well, or is it just the instant?
Just the instant. The beans come from St. Ali, which is like a really big coffee house in Melbourne. But the reason we haven't made beans is because you've got to be able to get the lion's mane in there. So by giving it to you in powder already, the lion's mane comes in powder, and then you've got your instant in powder. And also, like, if you're traveling and want to stay healthy, add some hot water to it, or a dash of oat milk. Like, it's quite easy to get the goodness in without having to brew it or have a stovetop or a French press or anything like that. You literally just add water.
Yeah. Oh, I could probably talk to you all day. I feel like this conversation could just... But I know you have to skedaddle, but is there any last words that you'd love to share with our viewers?
Just like, work hard, be kind, be real, and just like, if you've got a goal, like, just go for it. Who cares? Like, honestly, doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Most people are ruled by fear and will tell you not to go for it. And it's their own stuff that's making them say that. So only you need to believe in you in order to achieve your dream.
Oh, Lola, thank you so much for joining us today. Have a wonderful Christmas and a fabulous New Year. I know you're going to be doing huge things.
Oh, thank you. It was just such a fun morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. See ya.